Are we recording? Are you ready?
We are.
All right. Welcome to E1R Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of laments or lucky track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of low-dollar endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Eric Rood gives us just a tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
And we are E1R Racers. Thank you for coming back and listening to a Cribbage episode of our podcast. It is 121. And if you're not driving a car, don't forget your E1R bingo card. Link is in the show notes. If you get bingo, please take a picture, put it up on our social media.
It's worth a Popeye's chicken sandwich if you show it to us in person.
I mean, we're not going to give you one.
Oh, totally. If someone shows me a winning bingo from an episode, I'll give them a Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
So, only Mental. All right, good.
All right, there you go.
And then you have to get it from him or the money, like the tool that we have sitting on his side table that I would really like to
only
use.
If you get to Vegas.
It is, in fact, packed in a box, addressed, waiting to get dropped off at the post office. With Bill and Vicky Fisher's racing gear. We'll talk about that in a bit.
All right.
Interesting.
So, Mental,
right,
why don't you just keep going with what you're working on? Because you're working on that, and you're working on trying to take a sip of that beer before I just stopped you. So, oh, man. So what else are you working on?
So I've been packing. I've got another busy weekend coming up. I'll be loading up the Mighty RV and headed down to the Vintage Auto Racing Association's University this weekend at Buttonwillow. And last night, we've got a long weekend coming up. We've got the Monday's a holiday, and they're giving us an extra day as well in the Air Force. So I had 2 days off, and I had some plans to get some work done in the garage. Right as I was drifting off to sleep last night, a huge crash in my closet. You guys have seen the awful wire frames that were in all of our closets here.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Mine collapsed. So I have to rip all that out and actually put in a proper wood frame closet. So that's what I'll be doing Monday and Tuesday.
I have a wireframe organizer. I find it very sturdy.
No, I find them hideously ugly.
Oh, yeah.
And now weak as well. So
yeah, no, I put a lot of crap on it too.
Was it not installed correctly?
I'm going to say it probably was, but I should be troubled that I have more clothes than two gay guys. I don't know if that's homophobic or not. And honestly, judging by these closets, I question their gayness.
You purchased your house from two gay guys?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Well, they could have used the closets in the other rooms. They could each have their own.
Yeah, I thought he was generalizing.
Yeah, they're all wire frames.
Oh, well.
Maybe they were on sale.
Anyway. All right.
So there you go. That's what Mental is working on. Who should go next? Chris, why don't you start it? Because I was actually there for some of it.
Yeah.
So we did more work on your car than my car while we were together. So.
And I finished all that Suburban work now. It's got the backup camera that works great. It's got the backup work light on a relay-activated switch that works great. I fixed the whole light pod I have on the front of that. All that works great now. So, and since then I haven't even driven it because I have a Mercedes still, so I'm going to keep driving that. So, yeah.
Yeah. You're not even going to say how warm it was?
It was like 65 degrees. We had the doors open in the house. We had short sleeve shirts.
Oh,
shorts on. Yep. Wash the car.
That's warmer than here.
Yeah. And I helped Jeff not work on Jen's car.
Yeah, true.
I continued drywall repairs here at the house. So that's all good.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Jeff, why did you finish the story? You were here working on stuff.
So it was beautiful, and I have all the axles for the wife's 2015 Forester. So one of them sort of clicks every now and then. So we figured we would change that, and I drove the sucker it's like an hour and a half between our houses, and that thing didn't click once. So I'm pretty convinced it wasn't the axles. I showed up and somebody's crappy white Mazda 3 was dirty in the way, and I had to play towel boy, so we washed it, and then it was
even
beautiful.
recognize a dirty Mazda 3.
And then it was
know what
beautiful.
one looks like.
Right, well, because you saw mine as it was getting washed, and you did not have to do anything. You
No.
picked up the towel as I was trying to finish it, and you said you would do it.
Because
And
I
you missed
suggested it would be faster if we helped.
It was crappy until it got washed, and then it was beautiful. Because that
Yes.
car was so damn dirty.
Well,
It's pretty terrible.
it's a white hatch that doesn't get washed unless
Yeah,
it's
white
60
cars.
degrees.
I've never owned one before, so I'm learning now. But anyway, so I showed up, and Chris and I crawled under the Forester, because Chris has a lift. Chris and Chrissy have a lift. That's why I drove an hour and a half, because I didn't feel like laying on the ground. And we looked at everything, and we found a little teeny wiggle in one axle. And then we found busted lower control arm bushings, which I told my wife like 6 weeks ago it sounds like a bushing, but she didn't believe me. She swore it was the axle. So new lower control arms will be ordered from Rock Auto. Hashtag they should totally sponsor us. We'll still swap the ankles, but the axles. So yeah, I sat there and like handed tools to Chris because I didn't want to go home. It was too beautiful to go inside.
And then we played iRacing and
The little iRacing, yeah.
lightsaber virtual reality.
That was fun.
So is anybody else interested in coming on here for that virtual competition in Los Angeles on the 25th?
I don't really want to fly to Los Angeles to crash something in virtual reality as well as I crash at home.
It's not a VR. It's a 3-screen full motion sim.
It's even worse.
Still, I will also crash. That's
also
what I'm good at. Is
It's part
crashing.
of VR, right? Like, show up and you're there, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, well, let's all go to Jersey and then drive around. It's like, let's all pretend we're driving in Jersey while sitting in my living room.
Fair enough.
If I'm going to go to Los Angeles, I'm going to do something cooler than do that.
Well, there's hopefully if Montway gets off their collective backsides and gets you and then my bank gets you paid, you'll have a nice car to drive out there.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Well, no.
Not going to happen.
No.
Nope.
So
Good try,
I should
though.
go back.
Good
We're
try.
still in my what you're working on, even though I was rudely interrupted by the guy with the great haircut.
Well, because you went out of order and you've already screwed everything up.
Wow.
I screw everything up every week. How's that be any different? So anyway, I went home on Sunday, and Sunday was also beautiful. So I cleaned the garage and started a new project, a cordless, like, tool storage unit. So yeah, I've designed, I have wood, I got my saw out, and then it got dark, and it's still there, so.
Yep.
This is not
I think
surprising
this counts
to
under
me.
general Wakeman problems.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely it does.
Oh, you also
So, yeah.
got a new engine hoist to you.
I did get a new engine hoist. I brought back the engine hoist that was in Chrissy's. It is now. Well, it's why I cleaned the garage. I mean, I had to clean enough room to put the engine hoist in. So
Okay.
that was it. That's the end of what I'm working on. And guest number 5, Eric Rood, is having some internet issues because he was here and now he disappeared.
Let's try not to skip over Chrissy this time too. You know, there's always that because we're going out of order.
there.
That says the person who was rudely interrupted by the guy with not as good hair.
Oh, not as good hair at all. So we will go to Chrissy next. Chrissy.
Oh, thank you for acknowledging me. That's wonderful. So I have been doing lots of work. I was traveling last week, and then I was more time away this week. I just got home about an hour and a half ago. I was doing a calibration meeting with a bunch of my facilitators on our training programs, getting them all in the same room, make sure they're all training the same things. And I was going to share my sentiment with my fellow show member by saying it's almost Girl Scout cookie time. So it starts tomorrow, and I believe Eric is also experiencing that. I think you guys in Jersey, are doing the same thing. I think I saw Gwen trying to. Oh, you don't know. I'm pretty sure they're. He is. I doubt he's. I don't know. You could ask him as soon as he's back. So I just have to. I don't have to do much with it. My co-leader does a lot, and I just say no when they say, "Do you want some cookies?" I said no.
Yes, Gwen is Cookie Mom.
Yes.
This is my wife's best friend. And she has a broken foot and has had several foot surgeries and has 2 dogs that are being trained for the blind people. And they brought all the cookies, and she was like, "Oh, hell, why is this coming to my house?"
Because you're Cookie Mom. That's what you do. So, Mr. Rood, are you Cookie Dad?
Let's go with a yes.
Oh, are you?
No, I'm
Wow.
not the organizer, but
You're not the organizer.
having gone and picked up the cookies for that, I can
Yeah?
tell you there is not nearly enough room where I live at the moment for that to happen. So
Yes. Yeah, we actually did our cookie.
And here
pickup
you are,
a
fresh
couple
out of
weeks ago.
station wagons.
So for those of you who have never done the Girl Scout cookie thing, if I had to understand correctly, because I have not, Cookie Mom or Cookie Dad, not to genderize,
Yes.
have to hold all the cookies for like everybody in whatever region you're working on.
at least
So there are
yeah.
hundreds of boxes, right?
Yeah, just your troop though.
Oh, okay, just a troop.
I mean, there are places that you could do, and if you are we call a service unit. So we have like troops, and then a bunch of troop we call a service unit. So somebody could hold that the cookies to pick up for that, but I don't know that they do that as much anymore.
But I
Usually,
mean,
you just hold them for your troop.
yeah, but I mean, we're talking hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of cookie boxes.
thousands.
Yeah, well,
Thousands?
boxes, yes. No, I mean you have hundreds of cookie cases of cookies.
Oh.
Oh,
They come in cases, yes.
yes,
Oh.
and then you could have hundreds of cases of cookies.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So,
Wow.
Eric, what else are you working on other than cookies? Chrissy, I'm sorry, are you done? I don't want to go on too long.
I'm done.
Okay, good. Eric, what you working on other than
Lately been working on Blue Screen of Death. My laptop
He
has
has been
crashed.
texting me the blue
The
screen of death.
screenshot. Yeah.
Like it's the actual blue screen.
Yeah. The real
Wow.
one. Yeah. So
I haven't
I've
seen the
had
blue
this
screen in a long time.
I've had this laptop since I started freelancing full time, even before that, I think. So it's like 6 years old. So I'm due for another one, basically. Is what this is coming around to. So shopping computers, one of the things I'm working on, and finalizing
insert clicky sound, newegg.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
newjayscreditcard.com.
Yay.
Oh, that guy's good for something.
Well,
then,
yeah, if it's work is buying it and you need something reliable, we're going to tell you to go with an Apple, right?
Yeah, I think that's everybody else at HQ is working on Apple, so I probably will go that route. But so it goes. And then finalizing some rally stuff and some other things we can talk about later on in the show.
Excellent.
Cool.
All right.
News and notes. Next
Thank
up,
you.
news and notes.
Thank you.
If you haven't been living under a rock, you know that Neil Peart, I argue, and I don't think I'm going to get much objection, the greatest rock drummer in the history of ever. Passed away.
Canadian. Hashtag Canadian.
Not true. Naturalized American citizen. Anyway, greatest rock drummer ever. Passed away after a very long battle with a very specific brain cancer. Now, he was a multi-lemons racer. A lot of folks didn't know that. Actually, I didn't know that until Chris sent me the picture from I found that picture on Neil Peart's own personal blog.
Funny story about that.
Let's hear it.
I did judge at one of the races where he was racing, and I totally was like, he came up and was just talking about racing, and I had no idea who he was at all.
Yeah, just some old crusty dude.
Yeah,
like,
just some
talking cars.
Just some dude in a racing suit, like everybody else at a lemons race. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that, go ahead.
Yeah, and that was entirely his MO. Like he didn't tell anybody he was coming to a race. I think we probably checked him in HQ without even like thinking twice about Neil Peart. Yeah, like, you're probably like that guy that does that thing, and that he was just another guy for the weekend, which is totally what he was after. So it was super cool.
That's awesome.
Now, his Axel Gearhead roots go a little bit deeper than that. Those of us who are fans of that era remember a tune called Red Barachetta, and it was inspired by a short story that appeared in the 1973 issue of Road and Track called A Nice Morning Drive. It was written by a graduate student at the time named Richard Foster. And it's a dystopian future where cars have gotten so safe that people can smash them into stuff and not get hurt. So they drive around and smash smaller cars for sport.
Nice.
They actually hired a detective to try and find the guy that wrote the story, couldn't find him, so they just put a liner note in the song that attributed Richard Foster to it. Fast forward to 1996, now graduated Richard Foster and his coworkers are playing with this new thing called the internet in their office, and one of them types in Richard Foster's name into a search engine, and it immediately leads them to a Rush fan site where Richard Foster finds out, even after he'd heard the song Red Barachetta, that it was inspired by his short story. He didn't realize that. Later on, the next year, Neil Peart unfortunately lost his then wife and his 19-year-old daughter within 10 months of each other, and told the members of Rush that he was retired, hopped on his motorcycle and disappeared for 50,000 miles to kind of just figure out what was going on. Wrote a book about it. Richard Foster would then later write him a letter, said he read the book, he appreciated the whole story. The two of them end up being buddies, and during their tour in 2007, Neil met up with Richard, and the two of them rode motorcycles to the Rush's next tour date in Virginia. And we've got links to all of this in the show notes, but it just underscores, even going back to what Eric said, basic premise of this program. Gearheads are the best people.
I almost thought I'd be able to check off Mental tells a story that goes nowhere, but you did a nice job of wrapping it back up there. So.
I mean, you went to
Came
nowhere,
together.
and then
For a
came
minute,
back.
I was like, where the hell are we going? Great segue you ended with about this hobby of gearheads are the best people. Vincent Mignola, original member, OG member of the Borg of Lemons, commonly referred to as Rally Baby Racing, had his house blow up on Tuesday. No lie, I'm serious. He was lucky his wife and his two children were not at his home, but their home has been reduced to splinters and piles of insulation. It has made all of the regional news. My wife said she saw it on CNN, but obviously they're not mentioning, oh yeah, that dude's a Lemons racer and hangs out at AER.
And a driving instructor.
And a driving, he is an instructor with extreme experience. So Vincent's a really great guy. He's on Rally Baby. Everybody in the East Coast knows him, or at least knows that guy from Rally Baby. And the Rally Baby members all are surrounding their teammate. They help clean up his house or what's left of it. The community is surrounding him, the EAR and East Coast Lemons community. Information about how you might help all over. There's the web. Link to the Rally Babies Facebook page will be in the show notes if you want to read the story.
There's a GoFundMe.
There's a GoFundMe. There's a couple of them. Yeah. So there's a GoFundMe. There's all kinds of stories. There's links to some of the national or some of the local news and pictures of the destruction. So that's kind of interesting. Rally Baby Facebook page. Link in the show notes.
All right. So it is a delicate balance we have here at Everyone Racers, but as the chief maintainer of the prime 3 p.m. tow peg, the Canyonero, I also cover the big, stupid truck beat, especially now as I am the only flyer of the big, stupid GM truck that we have around here.
That's right.
Yep. So in this case, I know I'm getting kind of into Jeff's lane with big, stupid trucks and potentially electric vehicles, but apparently Hummer is supposed to be reborn as an electric pickup. So a guy named Brandon Gilligy, which can't be right. Anyway,
Brandon
he said he'd rather see...
Brandon Galogly. He used to write for Hot Rod. He's a great guy. But anyway,
all right, great. Well, if you thanks for correcting me. And if you know, especially if he's a good guy, Brandon Galogi said that he'd rather see Pontiac revived and get an all-electric Fiero, which, yeah, I think that'd be a much better idea.
Totally.
He's also a Pontiac guy. That's worth mentioning. He has like a 66 Tempest that he daily drives.
Oh, yes.
I remember my Fiero.
It was great until it blew up.
Yeah, it made it all the way through on the Babe Rally, all the way to New Orleans, went all the way to No Problem Raceway where Lemons was there, made 2 drag passes, and I said, you know what, I'm going to stop because I got to go home. And we were going home on the causeway, and then that's what it sounded like.
It's not that bad, is it? And he was
that was worse.
Yeah.
I was in another car, and he keyed the microphone, and it was sounded like this. It was like, Jeff, I think I hear a tapping. I'm like, yeah, I hear it through the microphone. You gotta
So we left it by a dumpster in a hotel parking lot with the keys in it, and I eventually got a hold of a Lemons racer who picked it up, and then later on would hassle me for the title. Yeah, okay. So when I wasn't even home, that was nice.
Anyway, that would probably be a better.
This is a great tip, and since Eric Rood is here, we know we're going to be talking about Lemons rallies. Mm-hmm. Lemons, cross country, or any other crap can rally, always bring the title with you.
Yes.
Because you're probably going to ditch it. Mental, you ditched a car on a rally.
Traded it for beer.
They didn't care about the title, though, at all.
Yeah.
But it made them trading it into the junkyard a whole lot easier, I'm certain.
Yeah.
All these GM Transverse V6 vehicles that are just so terrible. That are
well, and you should have gotten rid of Connie that year. You just didn't.
should have. Oh, I was about to.
Yeah, we all were, because that was my car.
Yeah.
So let's say you're out there and you're an engineer. Maybe you're an automotive electrical engineer and you're looking for a job. GM may be ready to hire you. According to the Kentucky State Police, a trooper stopped 2 GM engineers on the evening of Wednesday, January the 8th, on a lover's lane in Bowling Green. No, they were not smooching. They were exceeding the posted 45 mile an hour speed limit by a whole heck of a lot. They were given 26 over, reckless driving, racing on a public road, and they were, of course, both driving brand new C8 Corvettes, which were immediately impounded and probably didn't belong to them, belonged to General Motors, arrested, thrown in the clink. Ooh, don't take the work cars out, guys. Link in the show notes. Thank you, Automobile Mag, for the story.
So says Jalopnik, some cars are dying in 2019. So some of them are not. I didn't really know they actually existed. So that's always a good thing when they die and you didn't know that they were good. So some were the interesting ones were the Smart car and the Fiat 500. So I think a lot of the world is going towards the bigger cars. So if you think about it, they're very small and maybe nobody wants them anymore. I think there is a Smart. I know there is a Smart that is going around the 3 p.m. extended lot, and nobody
you could say that without a doubt.
Nobody is willing to do anything with it, so there's that.
Wait, who has it now? Because I sent a transmission module to AMSA.
Hamza has it.
Okay, all right.
I still think
from somebody else.
He needs to take the whole drivetrain out and repower it with a Harbor Freight Predator 212.
Good idea.
And then it's a great paddock ride.
Okay.
Yes.
So also dying, the Tourex wagon, a Buick. Was a car that was on the short list of wagons that some people thought that I should have. Nope. And the last one on here was the Holden Commodore. So I didn't actually remember.
We don't get that.
No.
No,
what we
but
did get. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say it's kind of a big deal that that's being discontinued, since that was like one of the 2 big Australian nameplates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Memorable
Ford
to
down
who?
There, Australians.
To Australians.
Oh, okay. So that's why we care about it. Okay.
Well, yes.
I was going to say,
If
don't remember
things
that.
are not on fire there, they're doing burnouts in Holden Utes.
Maybe it's starting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
But that is
the
same
summer gnats
platform
were
that
not long ago.
Gave us the Chevy SS and the Pontiac G8 GXP. It's a great V8 rear-wheel drive 4-door platform.
Mm-hmm.
I am disappointed at the loss, the temporary loss though, of the Jag XJ, the big Jag flagship.
The big Jag, yeah.
The big Jag.
Big
it looks great. It has always looked great, and no one buys them. I don't know what, because everyone buys SUVs now because they're dumb.
Yep.
Get a Jag.
That Jag actually was the first thing that, in my recent memory, that really tipped the design favor for Jag. Jags looked like refreshed 80s Jags for a very long time. Like the design look of the XJ6 and the XJS like hung on forever.
Yeah.
Because they did it right the first time.
And then the new XJ showed up and it was like, bam, look at that. That looks good.
Got to drive one of those at Circuit of the Americas, the XJR supercharged, 550 horsepower, and then sat in the back seat while a pro driver took it around. That car needed an Ottoman. It was just amazing to sit in the back seat of it. I'm also bummed to see the 6.3 AMG, the SL63, which I know because they've got other cars going, but anytime a 6.3 AMG leaves, I'm upset.
Is it really a 6.3?
It's
Mental?
a 4-liter.
This is your point to complain that the numbers are wrong.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm getting the last of the actual 6.3s, which is really a 6.2,
Well,
but that's not the point.
Yeah, I
As
can
long as
just
you know
scribble
it's
it on the
actually a
back for
6.2.
you.
Yeah.
Tell you the right number.
I was just trying to trigger you. I really don't care.
Oh, no, you did a little. You did trigger me a little.
I don't care.
All right. So upcoming, we're kind of in a winter break here. Lemons, Lucky Dog, they don't have next events on the calendar until February, where Lemons is at Barber and Lucky Dog's at Button Willow. After that, Champion's at Road Atlanta. AER is going to be there after that. So nothing going on there. But World Racing League had their 2020 season launched with the Texas Fandango this weekend at MSR Houston. I think there are, 25 cars there? So Saturday,
they were all BMWs. I think I saw 3 other cars that were not BMWs.
Yeah. So Saturday, BMW took the top spot and fastest time of the day. Second was BMW. Third was BMW. On Sunday, it was BMW and a BMW.
I think Code Brown Racing is a Boxster.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Wah, wah. There are no racing for them till March. There's only like 12 people though with their BMWs. Sorry, guys.
They did a whole bunch of. They did a little video of like somebody sitting low, and then they had like little cars. All the cars went this way and this way, and I was like, "Ooh, BMW with a wing." Oh, another one. Oh, another one. Oh wait, that's a different car. Nope, just an older one.
Different color. Old one. New one.
Pretty much.
I bet they swerved to warm their tires on the warm-up lap.
Yeah.
Oh,
they
did.
It's like this. It's like this. It's like E36, E46, E36, E46, E36. Oh, look, a coupe.
Yeah, pretty much.
E30s are actually getting to be like, oh, isn't that nice?
I don't think I saw any of those. No. They're not good enough.
Well,
they all
it's just a matter of time until someone goes, E30, why you ruin classic?
Oh, I'm sure.
They're doing it now.
Anyway.
Listener feedback.
Okay, so I'm so excited.
Okay, so I heard Jeff say that, and I watched Chrissy's lips move. It was hysterical.
They did it at the same time.
I said it too. I know. I was trying to just not yell into the phone. Instagram user. I had to read this a couple times to not call it Scrappy Ard Refugees. Because that's how I read it. Scrappy Ard Refugees. Took the time to send us a direct message saying, just wanted to drop you a note and tell you how much I love your podcast. I found you in early 2019 after a brief mention. This is the Canadian team that had the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles theme on the Retreat of Moscow.
Oh, yeah. Now I know who they are.
Adding, I enjoy the banter and race talk between the four of you. I've learned some things and have made me want to learn more. He is hoping to parlay his dirt track experience into endurance racing this year. He's in Canada and wants to spectate crew, before getting into the seat at Champ or Lucky Dog Race. He concludes, thanks again for the great podcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for writing this. This is so awesome. Tell your friends.
Sure. Scrappy Ard Racing.
You want the postscript to that?
Yes.
Sure.
They're running the rally again this year, and they're registered with a smart car.
Nice.
I actually had that a little bit farther down, I think, but yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Excellent.
So last week, Mental posted from Laguna with a "What You Working On," and Brian M was on kitchen floor duty, but he had his young gun working with him while race car stuff on the schedule next weekend. Hashtag we like the tuna here. So we know who they are. Kenny B posted, I'm doing housework too. Sconces for me? I'm not sure what that means.
Sconces. He was doing
Sconces.
Do you know what
is that how you spell? Yeah, it's a little thing on the wall. It's a little light. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a sconce.
Is that spelled correctly in the notes?
Yes.
It is.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
And
you can tell Jeff is a lighting aficionado.
Exactly. It's that light thing on the wall.
How is your scoons today?
Well,
My scoons.
I can't say that I
I like
have
my
any
scoots with a
Sconces.
little more syrup. I just,
well, if it was on Instagram, so there probably was a picture of the light, and then I would have known what the hell it is. DC Doug, who does not know what a sconce is either, I guarantee you.
He is a man of class.
Because he is a man of class and taste, absolutely. And what color is your beard today, Doug? DC Doug was missing out on the Faster Farms at Laguna Seca because he had to stay home and watch the chickens and the goats. So he chimed in that he was on chicken and goat weekend duty. There we go. Rally correspondent Santiago was in a rally car all day, so that's good. He said he did a ton of stuff last night, new exhaust, tons of prep for the Snowdrift National Rally. Good luck. We look forward to the event report, Santiago.
Now, I got a text from our binge listener, Slider, and he said, and I quote, while we were talking about our plans for the one of the upcoming rallies, I heard your friend Jeff talk shit about my call sign. Let him know he just made a powerful enemy.
Oh, I was bringing it up too.
Oh my.
You know who else
I was
is
mad
afraid
at the
of getting? Oh, damn, so close.
Why?
Who else
Right.
doesn't want to make any powerful enemies, or Jeff doesn't want to have as a powerful enemy? Really, that's what it comes down to.
There you go.
Because then he gets no
yeah.
cookies. Chrissy's mom. Hi, Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Chrissy's mom. So, we are here again. You've already heard his deep basso fondo voice as he got nice and close and sexy to the microphone. He is Eric Rood, guest host number 5 of the Everyone Racers podcast. We brought him here. He actually looked at the notes. He is not currently crunching cookies, but you can buy them from him next week.
This week.
This week. I'm sorry.
Tomorrow.
Or in 2 weeks down in Alabama when you don't want to be in the penalty box.
That's right. He's here to talk Lemon's schedule, retreat from Moscow rally, all the changes that are going to happen with the rally this year. And what is this about technology broadening the income gap? Are we going to talk about that?
We can.
Okay.
It's specific to cars is where it comes from. But if we have time, if not, I'm fine.
Sure. We have it on the bottom of the list, so we might get there. But let's start with what everybody on this podcast wants to know, and probably most of our listeners. Sup with the 2020 schedule.
Well, obviously it's been out for a little bit while, but I don't know if I've been on since it came out. I don't think so.
You were here right before it
Right
came
before it, yeah. It was supposed to have been out at that time, which is super awesome. Anyway, so a couple new things. We got Willow Springs on the calendar next spring in March in place of the old Sonoma race. Really looking forward to that. Willow's been a pretty cool place that I think we've kind of wanted to go to for a while, and it just kind of all the circumstances pointed to it. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And
That's the one at the end of March?
Yeah, it's March 28th. It's the same weekend as NOLA,
Yes.
so we have several 2 race weekends again this year.
I'll be running that one with shirtless Matt.
Should I know who Shirtless Matt is, or is just
Sorry for party.
Sorry for party, man.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, Shirtless.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah,
And everybody has nicknames here. We're not using their first name and last name.
you have to say Pantsless Matt, and then I get it.
That
He
just
doesn't have
happened.
pants on.
His
That's not
new
bad.
name is now
He's
Pantsless
now Pantsless Matt.
Pantsless Matt.
Absolutely.
He'll agree. He'll answer to either, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
Totally will.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that. And then the other big thing we're doing this year is we're actually doing 2 24-hour races. And I don't know if everybody's seen that on the schedule. And-
No, I didn't know there was 2. What are they
Well,
Yeah,
we
doing?
knew
so
the CMP one. So.
Thank you, Mental. Yeah, the suspense. So the first CMP race is a 24-hour, same as last year, same place, same time, same bat channel. And then the
The same
second,
lack of electricity.
Mhm.
The same great Indian food just outside.
I love CMP. Man, I hadn't been there until this past year. That place is great.
No way. You've not been there before now?
I know. know.
Wow.
Yeah. 'cause
Why do you like it?
The atmosphere is just awesome there. Like the racers are super laid back. It's in
It's the
this.
South.
It's the South. It's this weird little racetrack where
it's
we're
kind of
in
like
with the
podunk.
management and
Yeah.
they're totally on board with everything we're doing. So that kind of just lends itself to the whole atmosphere being very, I don't know. It's just very Lemons focused. It's one of the places we've obviously been going to for now 12 years. So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. And then the second 24-hour race is another place with a really awesome atmosphere, which is the High Plains race in September. So the second High Plains race is a 24-hour race. And that one's going to be super cool because they already have this infrastructure built in with flagging, with electronic signs. And I'm getting a bunch of text messages from Phil at the moment. And just as an aside, when Phil texts you, Phil doesn't write one text message. Phil writes 14 text messages in half a sentence. So if you hear buzzing for the next,
He says like
half
3
hour,
letters at a time.
It's Phil completing a thought.
Hey, Eric,
and of course
send.
you have to read
It's
them
Phil,
in
send.
Phil's voice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Hey, Eric. Phil
Send.
here.
This is a
Send.
good jumping off point.
Send.
Because the whole thing about Phil's voice, have you heard this from Jay? Did he talk about this when he was on the show?
I don't think so.
Remind
where are you
us.
going?
We'll take it.
Right. So Phil, anytime he's not around Lemons or racetrack, he's kind of soft-spoken, right? Have you ever heard Phil's normal voice? He's very,
No. There's a
well, you
normal
just
voice?
kind of talk about the thing. And Eric, how's it going? And so at some point when he started doing Lemons races, he would get fired up about something. And then, you know, like once Phil goes off on a tangent, you've all seen that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
It's wonderful.
There's no coming
Really?
back.
I had no idea.
Robot Nixon.
I
Yeah.
thought he was tangents. I didn't think there
Enver
was any ever
Hoxha and
normal.
Albanian
Well,
dictators.
Yeah, exactly. And then what ended up happening is like Jay started imitating Phil going off on rants, but he added this kind of guttural voice to it. So then Phil like started picking up on this impression of himself and then imitating that. So Phil's voice that you hear now is Phil imitating Jay imitating.
Imitating Phil. That's
No, it's
awesome.
not.
It's like
I have
it's like
never heard this.
Inception of funny voices.
Yeah,
Oh, that is awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
You're in the Inception and then in the dream, and then when you crash the
Yeah.
car in the dream, it
Whatever
never-
you do, don't leave your seat.
Yeah, and it's totally a subconscious thing, and that's the best part. Like it just seeped into Phil's brain.
Phil
And-
has no idea he's doing
Yeah,
it. That's
I
hilarious.
think he does because he can turn it off and on. But you know, once you get him wound up, you're just along for the ride with the voice.
I
So
understand.
Part of his character.
That's excellent.
yeah. Anyway, that was a long tangent, but he'll be
Totally
at
worth
both
it.
24-hour races, Phil will this year. So
good.
and the High Plains race is like his home race, so he makes a big deal out of it. There's a big party and everything, so it'll be a good time.
Not as much of
Awesome.
a party with a 24, though, sadly. Have to be Friday night, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be the Friday night. That is kind of the downside to 24s, but you know, it's been a long time since we've had one west of Texas, basically. So I think the Colorado one will probably draw from California a little bit, which will be
Damn.
nice.
That's a
Yeah.
toe.
Do one on each side of the Mississippi. That's helpful.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the plan. And there's only so many places we can really do them. There's a whole lot of places that just won't let us. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere in the Northeast, for example.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Everybody's got church hours somewhere. Cool. So anything else going on there at a home base before we start talking about schedule elsewhere?
We are going to try, judging wise, this year to be very putting forth public humiliation again in a good natured way.
Make
You can
Lemons humiliating again.
That's
a good
right.
Hat. Get on a red hat.
You can expect the cone of shame to come back. That's
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
Love the cone of shame.
Yeah, because you know that sends the message, right? Everybody on the track knows what's happening.
Yeah.
The guy with 2 cones of
Yep.
shame on the car. That's the dude to avoid.
I missed, and I don't know if you were really around for this, the Archangel.
Yeah, the Archangel was at the first couple races I went to.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It-
For those of you who are new, the Archangel was a lovely young woman with excellent welding skills who would weld stuff to the top of your car for shame and embarrassment.
We had a big
That's
cock
actually-
on our car.
Yeah, we
one
did.
year.
We had And then we painted it gold, and we said it was because my brother was the one who caused it. So he said it was Jim's golden cock.
The original Archangel was Christine Rotolo, who I don't know if you guys know Conrad Stevenson on the West Coast, builds the Alfa Romeos and everything.
I've heard of Conrad, yeah.
By reputation, yeah.
Yeah, he builds gorgeous cars, and Christine, I believe, is his wife and is also an incredible fabricator. So, yeah. But the Archangel, I don't think we can quite bring that one back. I think we might for special occasions if we find somebody with a welder. But we have the cutouts still. The metal cutouts still
we
exist.
always have a welder.
I was going to say, we always have a welder.
Yeah.
Just ask around.
It's just shipping 70 pounds of plate steel
sure.
around. It's
Sure, yeah.
kind of-
That I
putting
That's a bad idea.
putting little angel wings on the back of Bruce to weld them on would be pretty funny too.
all about that. Totally
I think
about
we
that.
can source some of those just to make that happen.
Yeah. If you bring the farm animals and things to a race that we are at, we will get you an Archangel.
All right.
I'm on the West
Okay.
Coast now, so we can cover this on both coasts. I'll bring a welder too.
Thompson would be a good one because we're always in the garage right nearby. And interesting. All right.
Thoughts?
I think schedule looks great to me from just a purely selfish perspective. There's 4 nicely spaced Northeast races, so that's great. I'm glad to see Pit Race back because I like that track. Nice to see the 24s for people who like that sort of thing, and I'm pretty sure I'm getting dragged into the CMP one by somebody, no matter what I do. And I was happy to see that there's a New England rally this year, a foliage tour with extra shrimp.
Nice.
And it looks sad that we can't really participate if we're going to the race because it seems to end on Saturday at the track. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
That's
That's
not a
something
huge amount of crossover, though. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to do is to take the rally people and basically force them to attend a Lemons race just to see what the real insanity looks like. So actually that rally, we're planning to end it at New Hampshire at the racetrack right as a checkered flag comes out, and then everybody gets a nice victory lap in their janky Lemons rally jeeps around the racetrack.
That's
very
fun.
good. Very good. Yeah.
So
Excellent.
that's the plan.
That's cool.
Well, and that's a good paddock for it. There's plenty of space for it. There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of extra fun out of New Hampshire.
As long as
and
they make their way to the garages. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, the plan is to do the rally awards at the Saturday night potluck also then. So
Very good.
built-in cheering section, and then the race people can see how dumb the rally people actually are.
That's awesome.
Okay, we talked about that when I did the Texas rally. Is there are some crossover, but these are 2 distinctly different camps of insane gearheads.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fine with us. Like, I think when we started it, we thought it was going to be more of like a feeder. People dip their toes in with the rally and then end up racing, and it seems like there's some overlap in that regard, but for the most part, it's 2 distinctly separate groups with maybe a 10 to 20% crossover.
Yes, yeah.
Cool. But it ends up being like a racer who rallies every now and then, or a rally who races every now and then. There's not really like hardcore teams who do both all the time, I assume.
Not really. No, not really.
Yeah, cool.
I'd say it's gotten too hard on both. It's gotten too hard. You can't come weak to a rally and expect to do well, and you can't come weak to the track even in Class C anymore. And I think the focus it requires to be competitive is eliminated cars that do both.
That's if you care
Who's
about
trying
being
to be
competitive for either
competitive,
one,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, agreed with that entirely.
Fair.
And that's one of the things we're actually working on changing with the rally is we're trying to make it so that the total and utter cry yourself on the side of the road at 1 a.m. masochism is optional and not required.
So you don't have to run with no top in the snow unless you really like doing that.
If you really want to live that kind of insane, if you want to win a Lemons rally, you have to be extra stupid, basically, is what it takes.
Yeah. But you can still not face the scorn of the community if you actually try and survive.
Right. And if you just get tired of driving after 9 hours, you can stop that. That's also Phil texting me. You can hear the buzzing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So cool. Let's talk more about the schedule real quick. I don't know if we're only allowed to talk about the American schedule, but the Australian and New Zealand schedule has 11 events coming up.
Yeah, if you're going to talk about this, Jeff, you have to hold your computer upside down.
Oh, okay. I'll hold it.
That's correct.
Yeah. So I think they're quietly expanding more and more and more, and they're going to be as big as the American series soon. That's really awesome. So do you all at Lemons HQ have anything to do with that, or is it do you even know anything about that? You're do we do an Australian?
I talked to the respective guys who run each of them. I don't know, 10 times a year maybe. Via email. Mostly we just kind of license the logo and everything them, and they run under whatever rules fit for Australia and New Zealand. And there's some major differences just in terms of they're allowed to run open face helmets and stuff like that. That's within their sanctioning rules.
They have less lawyers.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's probably correct.
Got all your safety gear and say, "Don't be a pansy."
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
pretty much.
Their best-selling author is a convicted felon. This is not a country of, sissies.
The entire country is convicted felons. I think
That's how it started.
Yep. The country, yeah. So you don't actually have anything to do with their social media. You can't log on and face to tweet them or anything like that.
I don't have access to their end of it. We work a little bit together and kind of give each other assets and stuff, so they can borrow photos from us and vice versa.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think the Australians are doing a lot of really cool stuff. They're going to the Bend, which is a 5-mile racetrack. They go to what is the place called? Thunderdome. The Thunderdome, which was it's like Monza in that it's half oval, half road course, but it's an oval. You will be racing most of an oval lap in these terrible cars, and because it's Australia, they also turn
the other way, right?
The other way,
just like the toilets, they go backwards.
Yeah, they circulate right. That's right.
So that's cool. So a little bit of an aside here, but are we expecting any good burnt kangaroo themes this year?
I don't know.
Maybe we could trade back and forth.
Too soon.
We'll
Too
send.
soon. That's what I was just gonna say. Too
No,
soon.
no. We'll send them a bunch of
No,
Make
it's
America
not.
Great hats, and they send us a bunch of Toasted Joey shirts or something. I don't know.
Does 3 p.m. have a theme lined up for this year? Because I think you just volunteered yourself to
Toasted Joey?
Our
Toasted
theme
Joey.
always presents itself when we go to Atlantic City and drink all weekend.
See,
And then we try to
that
find
explains
that
explains so much. It really does.
And it's a matter of, well, all right, which of those are so awful that sounded great last night, but now we're not using those. And which of them can we actually pull off? Yeah.
We have a whole category of themes that sounded really good when we were drunk, but aren't good when we're sober, and we
Send me
call
that
them.
list. I'm going to want to
them
see that list sometime.
Monkeys throwing poo, because there was one point where for an hour we talked about monkeys throwing poo as a theme.
I still have all the documentation on that. I know exactly how we play it out throughout the year. I know how we wrap it up in New Hampshire. I'm telling you, monkeys throwing poo. It's going to be awesome.
I'm
We sobered
still
up and
saying
went,
no.
No, that's not a
No.
good idea. Nobody wants to do
Great
that.
idea.
Even when I wasn't sober, I was still saying no because no.
It was tequila.
Yeah.
Great idea.
I will say, going back to the New Zealand thing, that I think it's the May race at Hampton Downs is the only continuous 24-hour race that has ever happened in New Zealand. It's a Lemons race.
Really?
Super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, who knew?
Yeah.
Hope that's on your resume.
Yeah, it's on mine. I have nothing to do with how they operate, but it's on
Yeah.
mine.
I know we want to talk about the rallies, and I'm going to say this again. listeners, if you guys haven't done a Lemons Rally, go do one. No, it's not a race. It's a completely different experience. They are hysterical, and you will meet an entirely new genre of people. But before we get into that schedule, if anybody's running the 24-hour race in High Plains, I'm a day's drive away, and I have an RV. I'm just saying, if you're looking for drivers, get a hold of us.
Contact us on the Twitter feed. Mental's the only one who watches the Twitter.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, Retreat from Moscow, right?
Yeah.
That's the first rally event?
Yeah, it's coming up in 2 weeks. I should know this.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's already showing up on the Instagrams.
Yeah. If you go on Instagram and you search #Lemons Rally, you'll find a lot of people's awesome cars, including one that showed up yesterday that is in like an 87 Oldsmobile 98 with a truck topper ripped off of, like, cut up and made into a station wagon.
All right.
It looks amazing.
All right, I'm going to Instagram. Go ahead, keep talking.
Or you can go to the Lemons Rally Facebook page. I put on there
okay.
today also. As well as a Monte Carlo with the top chopped off that was driving around Louisville and got spotted by the news crew. So Lemons Rally showing up on the social media. But the big thing we've changed with the Moscow Rally is we're starting in Maryland this time. So we're going to Moscow, Maryland to start instead of Moscow, PA.
Is there a Moscow, Maryland?
Not really.
Really? I just figured I didn't know where it was.
There is now.
It's like a census-designated place that's actually part of, I think, Barton, Maryland, or something like that.
Oh, I saw this. It's beautiful.
That's the olds. Oh, man. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
It's kind of like lifted on off-road tires.
Those are Jeep wheels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks like a hearse, actually. Now that I look at it, yeah. So anyway,
Moscow, go ahead.
Yeah, we're starting in Cumberland, Maryland. And one of the things that I think we've discovered over years of doing this, when we started the rally, we weren't sure how we were going to be received anywhere we went. We were always kind of afraid that people were going to be like, oh, these freak shows rolling into town. We should probably arrest all these people.
Yes.
And that's really only true in Texas, it turns out. Texas was not amused by the Lemons Rally, and lots of people got tickets. Anyway, outside of that, it's kind of been a positive response from communities and municipalities and so forth. So we're trying to tie into stuff like that and kind of add cool events in various places. So we're starting at the Allegheny Museum in Cumberland, which is like where the original National Road began. Not that anybody really cares about history, but it's an iconic road, and we're starting the rally like where the original road in this country started.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
I think you get some nerd cred for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Turns out I'm a huge history dork, so
That's a great way to integrate it. And
yeah, it's cool.
I got to say, when we used to run Babe Rally back in the day, we found that for the most part, we're there with you, and that most people were generally amused by our antics. Yeah.
And we had a lot more costuming in the Babe Rally than I think you have in the Lemons Rally, because we had a required costume day.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's probably true. But I mean, the car itself, if you go listen to or watch the regular car reviews video from last year's Retreat from Moscow Rally, the whole video opens with, the typical person commuting out of Pittsburgh and seeing, like a 71 Fury with stickers all over it, and it's all rusted out and it's all brown, and what is this thing, and kind of interloping in people's lives with these terrible cars is really the entertaining part about it, because suddenly everybody wants to talk to you about this thing that's happening, because nothing ever happens where we go most of the time.
Yeah. And being in a small group, I think, makes it less threatening, because if you're a lone weirdo, you're frightening. If you're a mob of weirdos, you're frightening. But if you're a small group of weirdos, then at least you're organized, and you probably aren't too terrible. I think we found that out, and it holds true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and if you leave later in the morning, you let the other teams kind of get ahead of you. By the time you show up to do something dumb, the town's like, oh yeah, we already saw there's four cars you idiots came through here. You're sure I'll take a picture. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's true in a lot of ways. The first one is, what? This is weird. And the second one is, well, that's, wait, did I, wait?
It's weird
that
too.
Attached to that?
Yeah.
I don't,
And
yeah,
then-
like.
By like car 4, they decide they need to have this conversation, figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
Car
Hey,
10, you're like, oh
hey,
yeah, it's
You know
that thing.
those guys in that other car? They
Yeah.
just came through here half an hour ago.
Nope, they're weird too. What? What? I don't know who they are.
And that's kind of another thing we're working on with planning the rallies, is making them more of a group thing. Just
Or-
run
Well,
together with people, everybody ending up at the same place at the same time. Because in the past we've kind of here's the route book, see you at the end. Like I think making it more of a guided tour of sorts is kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah. One of the rallies that we ran that was a single day event here was explore the shore from what was left of the Babe Rally folks. They had like a specific timed event at a specific parking lot where you got all of the challenges up until that point. And then if you were in that parking lot at that time, you got an extra challenge.
Gotcha.
That had a specific time to turn it in. So it was kind of fun.
And I know
It's a
they were
nice
doing
touch.
this in Texas. They've gotten a lot more like businesses that would host the social gathering that evening. There were several, restaurants and stuff like that, and that was always nice because you get to come in there and just BS. And I said this before when we did the rally, the push the button max guys, they were in costume at every restaurant we went to, and they were just delightful. Everyone liked them.
Yeah, those guys are great.
Yeah.
I think that we're also trying to branch out from just go to hotel at the end of the day, go to bar, and try to change it up from bars just to other interesting places. So in Asheville, we're going to be at the Asheville Pinball Museum, which is all you can play pinball.
Nice.
I'm pretty pumped about that. And when I called, the dude was like, "Oh, the Lemons? Wait, the Lemons rally? The one with all the stupid cars that go everywhere?"
No way!
It was
So
like-
much fun.
I was like, "Yep, you got it. You got the whole thing down. Yep, that's pretty much it." So we're doing that in Asheville. We're gonna do Deals Gap and the Dragon again.
Yeah.
I think that's it for this rally. I've got something kind of in the works for Route 66 in Tulsa, but that's still coming together. Have a lot of moving parts with that one. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anyone needs a last-minute ride for the Retreat from Moscow rally, Chrissy's dad's 05 Escape is now too rusty to pass Pennsylvania inspection, but it runs perfectly fine. It was his daily driver until it no longer became legal to drive, and he's not the kind to drive something illegal. So, it's got some rust holes in the unibody. It's an Escape. It's not very good. It was never very good, but this thing runs on spite, I think. It just refuses to die.
Pretty much.
Well,
If you could change the badging from Escape to Retreat, you're on the money already.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I like it.
So,
Theme. Dang, brah.
So
Yeah.
I also have a line on a Fogey Fresh Oldsmobile Aurora. I know
It's an
Eric Rood
Aurora,
is interested.
not a
Aurora.
Alero. It's an
Not Alero. It's
Like
an
the-
Aurora.
like the big
the
V8
bigger one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indy V8.
I don't know if it's got a V. I don't know what the hell's under the hood, but it's
The
big.
Auroras are V8s. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's an Aurora. And GM builds better crap than Ford. So you want mine. It's beige. I mean, come on.
Beige.
Beige.
Yeah.
So both
I
of
don't
these
have
are-
the title in my hand yet,
Oh, I do.
but it could happen.
It's all there. So
Okay.
either way, both
You
of these
win.
are cars that you can feel no remorse in doing something amazingly stupid with them. Really.
In fact, feel some pride because they get to go out on a high note.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Eric, you're a GM guy. What color is that in GM speak? That champagne kind
Harvest
of.
Gold.
Let's
Harvest-
call that.
I've
let's
given
call
up.
that
Brown.
25 year.
Turn.
It's 25-year wheel bearing gold. Is what it is.
It's very specific.
Yeah. Well, that's the color that it is. So
That's better
you
than
have
sandalwood.
GM paint.
I'm working on one of the things we're going to be doing this year at Lemons HQ is doing a lot more regular video posting on the YouTube channel with more Lemons World videos because
Oh, cool.
I don't know. I just think there's a lot of potential there to just talk about random crappy car stuff.
Yeah,
And
totally.
one of the things I'm crafting for it is what do I call it? This general theory of GM quality. The idea that GM runs
Crappy longer than any other car will
than
run.
any other car. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like the entire car must be engineered to operate with bad wheel bearings and
Yes.
brake pads that have reached the backing plate for at least like 6 months.
Yeah. Let's forget that the smoothness of the firing of the engine is always like
Right.
you could get it to like 90%.
Mhm.
You could never get it to 100.
Right.
But at like 40%, you're still able to go down the highway.
Oh, 40%. Jeez, 40%. Look at this guy here, Mr. Rich.
Big money.
Like
Yeah.
if 40% of the spark reaches the fuel, you're probably still getting decent gas mileage.
Yeah. I mean, I see we don't have inspections here in Illinois, so I see
Oh.
A-bodies all over the road still, and
Oh,
they're
my-
all
I can only imagine.
Oh, and it's a state where they absolutely should have inspections.
Oh, yeah,
Because
there's so much rough. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, yes.
Yeah.
holy century is what you want.
Holy everything.
Yes.
Uh,
But it's like they designed the car around where they know the rust will show up, because then it keeps running with the rust holes. Everything
Got it.
rust.
Yes, it's not like the ones that have a control arm mounting point that breaks off. No, it still works.
We should skip the technology bit and just talk about Solstice. Save it for another day.
All right.
All
we get
right.
to, I had
God.
some actual intelligent
All
stuff
right,
to say
all
about
right,
the
let's go.
democratization of the
Research on
smartphone.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough.
Wow.
Why don't you give us 2 sentences and then we'll decide if it's important enough.
All right. Well, basically, while I was traveling over Christmas, I was in the foothills of Appalachia, and it occurred to me while I was driving around that there are no electric cars there. I saw
No.
0, and
No.
there are basically no hybrids there either. So we're already living in this technology gap, basically. And while I understand that, rural areas, most people buy trucks. It's just the way it is. But even in the towns where, the old ladies they're still driving Buicks. They haven't moved on to the Civic Hybrid or anything of that nature.
The Oldsmobile Buick is the most popular car
Right.
in Appalachia.
Pontiac is still the Pontiac Grand Am. It's super
Nice.
good.
After all the
You're
GrandAms
probably
left.
right,
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, it occurs to me that we're already seeing at least a 10-year gap from, I guess, urban and suburban areas to these rural, poor areas. So as technology progresses, as cars get autonomous, as electric cars become more prevalent, the fact that these rural areas are still, that far behind already, they're just going to end up farther behind. Basically, is where I was going to go with that.
That's a great thought. We've been covering the Tesla truck. We've been covering, we talk technology here. We talk about the safety technology and whether us car nerds will buy it, but there is definitely a resistance from people to try something new when you have low funds.
Right.
If you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to spend it all on safety. So really, we're forcing the poorest people to drive the most dangerous things.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're coastal bougie, really.
Well, Eric is Midwest bougie.
I do live in a metropolitan area. That is true.
So with regard to the technology, particularly with the hybrid electronic and autonomous cars, certainly the technology is exacerbating the social gaps. But I would also argue that there is a definite ingrained social resistance to this as well. You look at any place where they have the Tesla superchargers and the guys are all parking their bro dozers to block them because they think it's funny, not because they're taking anything from them, not because it's costing them money, but because they just think it's funny rolling coal and all that sort of thing.
I roll coal every time I see
the other aspect. Yeah, the other aspect of it is.
But the thing is, the Tesla is the one that actually runs on coal in quite a part of the country.
The other aspect of this is if you've got a greater distance to travel and less of a safety net, this is not the time financially, if you're financially capable or not, for you to embrace new technology. You need proven, reliable, repairable technology because you don't have a bus. You don't have someone that's going to drive by. If your car breaks down, you're going to have to walk 5 miles. And in Appalachia, not always in the best weather. It does really come down sometimes to a matter of survival. And
I'd argue sometimes
you might gamble on it.
The technology choice is the better choice sometimes. Like, sure, no one's going to go buy a new Tesla, but a 05 Prius is dirt cheap, great gas mileage, and they are so over-engineered because Toyota said, well, this is our real shot at this. We can't screw this up. And so they did with when they launched Lexus. They over-engineered the LS400 and
sold them at losses. Let's not forget.
So, like, an 05 Prius is a great way to fill that exact niche you're talking about, Mental. And I have to be able to get where I'm going, and it has to be cheap, and it has to work. So I think maybe that once they move out of their Grand Dams,
are they as cheap as a Grand Dam?
It depends. You're getting close. Like, all Grand Dams are worth, a ham sandwich and a coupon for a free car wash.
Right. And where I'm coming from is I did grow up in a lot of this, in not quite lower Appalachia, but in the South. And when the Grand Dam was new, I remember all the Southern people going, "Oh, all them computers on that car. I ain't buying none of that stuff."
Give me that my carbureted Mustang. It's
right, because it was a proven, defined technology that they understood. And I think that you'll see as the Priuses march down grade, and even honestly, LS400s are getting so damn cheap and they're so damn reliable. You're starting to see them creep into some of the lower income neighborhoods and urban areas. I think they're going to start making their way into these environments. And I'm not arguing with you, Eric. The problem is real, but I wonder how much of it is socioeconomic and how much of it is just the stubbornness of some of those societies.
They call it conservative for a reason.
It's a gap that is, I think we've all observed in the last 5 years, is economic, it's social, and it's vast, basically. There's a lot of opposition for the sake of opposition.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so you're always going to find that, but I don't know. There's such a bigger root to it that is, not a car podcast discussion, probably.
This car passed it well. You know what? Let's
next week on Everyone Political.
Here.
Eric and Mental once again debate.
I'm reading the notes here, and this goes so deep. The things you triggered us all, Eric. I'm looking what people are writing here, going, "Damn, that's a whole podcast in itself on like NPR." Like we.
Yeah. Pretty much where I was going with all this is it's really, really easy to get excited about new technology. It's really easy to look at the Cybertruck and think, "Oh man, that's stupid. That's ugly. That's amazing.
I can't wait to have one.
It's incredible. It's going to be super, whatever."
You, Riven's, man. Riven's the new truck. Screw the Cybertruck.
Is it Riven or Riven? Did we ever figure that out?
Is Riven the one that's supposed to be built at Lordstown, by the way?
No, that's Lordstown. Lordstown Motors is at Lordstown.
Lordstown Motors.
Revivin is, I don't remember where that one is.
But anyway, it's really easy to get wrapped up in the technology of it without thinking down the line what it's going to mean. And I understand that when anybody builds anything, you can't necessarily predict exactly what's going to happen in 20 years. But thinking about what gaps exist and how we can at least soften those gaps, I think, is something that people need to think about a little bit more when it comes to autonomous cars. Is the big one to me, because that's such a long way from showing up in Morgantown, West Virginia. It just is. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
and some of
no.
it's there's almost three separate, or there's more than three separate groups, but in my mind it gels into three. And that you've got the top 10%. It's the bi-coastal bougies, which we are basically among them, and we're like, yeah, cool technology. We're looking at newer Mercedes and Jags, and like, okay, great, and we're excited about this kind of stuff. Then you've got the bottom 10% who don't even haven't even been lifted up by the general availability of technology like a smartphone. They maybe don't even have a TV, which is like basic America. How do you not have a TV? So while the middle group, even down to the lower 20% even, have been lifted up by the general availability of technology and information, the very bottom still is going to get left behind, just for so many reasons that are beyond what we can talk about here.
God, I'm trying to decide whether to say the next sentence or not. Yeah, let's go down this. So interesting that you brought up the smartphone. I'm reading an article not too long ago where they're talking about the democratization of the world, not just the America, but of the world of the smartphone, because in a lot of places in the third world, they don't have running water yet, but they have the smartphone. So they have the internet, and they're able to be on Twitter, and they're able to participate in WhatsApp and all these other things that are happening around the world that never would have happened because they barely have electricity. They're using generators to power their smartphones, but they now have the internet. A place that could never afford a computer would never buy a computer. But because you only have smartphones, there aren't dumb phones anymore. To simply have the social safety net of a phone, you immediately get connection to the world, to the political world, to be able to start movements, to be able to, oh my God, it's so deep. Stop me. Oh, let's talk about cars.
So my thing is it goes back to an article I saw with they were talking about that autonomous cars are actually not going to kill the automobile as we know it, but it'd rather preserve it and bring it into a new era. At the dawn of the automobile age, our cities, particularly our cities, were ankle deep in horse crap.
Yes, I've read about this. Go on, keep going.
And the bringing about of automobiles allowed the horse to live a much better life. And very soon, having a horse as your transportation or even as a hobby became both a symbol of poverty and wealth. And so it was an explosion in equestrian sports because now only the well-to-do could do horses. I live in Las Vegas. I still have people who ride horses around the streets here. Just a few blocks from my house, there are people that have large enough properties that they have horses. And these are not rich mansions, but horses have now become for sport. They own them because they want to have these horses. It's not a requirement anymore. And I think you're going to see that happen with autonomous vehicles, but there's still going to be that social resistance, even if the technology was available in rural Mississippi, in West Texas, in northern Nevada. They're not going to adopt it because they don't want it. They don't like machines making decisions for them. It does threaten their sense of independence. And the very systems that this technology relies on is an affront to their sense of the government. I don't trust the government, and I don't trust big corporations. I think that the presence of autonomous vehicles is going to make owning an automobile a much more sporting and luxurious proposition, but there will still be options for those who don't want to embrace the new technology. I don't want an autonomous car. What I want is an autonomous RV. Oh, great. Race weekend's over. Take me home. I'm taking a nap.
Take home.
Yes.
Well, we're already halfway there. I mean, even as budget oriented as Lemons is compared to what it is, it's still not a sport you can do if you are just really paycheck to paycheck. You have to have a tow vehicle. You have to have safety gear. You have to be able to put the car together. You've got to get tires on it. You've got to pay for all the fuel. You've got to pay for the not insignificant entry fees. Like these, you have to go to a special place to do this, not just.
You have to have the flexibility of work to be able to schedule the time off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, should we go back to cars? Let's go back to cars.
I want to do this disclaimer in case anybody's getting all mad, and I don't want anyone mad at Eric. So when Eric brought this up, he was very hesitant because he was worried about getting all political on a car show, and I countered that to a degree, this is what our sport survives on. We've got castaways from both the uber wealthy. Race cars are devaluing down the chain. Old expensive cars are depreciating. I am honestly buying what at the time of its creation was the fastest, most powerful four-door saloon on the planet for less than a used Honda Civic. Then you've also got these entry-level commuter cars that we love to go through, all your Kias and your Hyundais that just hold no value because you could buy the new one for $99 a month with a pay stub and a power bill. So all of this is actually in the background of what we love to do.
There you go. So let's talk about lemons. Let's talk about lemons cars. Let's close up everyone politics and everyone social justice and say, hey, Eric, are we to thank you or scorn you, or are you going to throw the blame on some of the other lemon staffers for the best new cars of the 2019 season article? Because you listed our Pontiac Solstice.
Yeah, you did.
Or you didn't.
Eric.
Oh, did we lose Eric?
Did we lose Eric? He's showing up on the screen. I don't have a text from him.
Sorry, had it on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no!
Yeah, he went. This show gone
There's
off
your
the frickin'
technology
rails.
there, buddy. Whatever.
Mic drop.
Sorry, dad stuff. Anyway,
So yeah, did you write the best cars of 2019?
I
article?
wrote about half of it, and I'm the one who put you guys on there because your car looks like a wiener. So
Thank you. Well,
Yep.
you started another discussion in our race team Slack about, it looks okay, but it really needs the ball. Can I say balls? Do I get an E for balls? It really needs the balls. We need to figure out how to attach them better next time. So
look, here's the thing, and I wrote this about the other Solstice in that entry. If Lemons in 3 years is full of Solstices instead of 3 Series BMWs, I've done my job. If that is the car to have, I'm totally fine with that, and so is everyone else, because you've seen them. You've seen how they're assembled.
yeah.
They were basically put together with rocks. I mean,
I think who is it? It was Nick Pond who said it best on our podcast a little while ago because we brought up the Solstice. He said he was at the media launch because he and Jay were quote
magazine.
they were shrimping.
they were shrimping, and they said they looked at each other and they said, "Man, it's amazing that the Miata came out 10 years ago."
Yeah.
And GM was like, they didn't see anything the Miata did right. Like, how did this car do so much wrong when the Miata's been doing it right for 10 years?
Yeah.
Yep.
2,900 pounds.
Yep.
I remember being impressed that GM could build a car within 600 pounds of a Miata. I was genuinely impressed.
You know that GM of America had nothing to do with that car,
yes.
right? It was an Opel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We know it's an Opel. Although,
And the Opel was way lighter because I saw
did
the
they ever
Opel.
sell it as an Opel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was an
The
Opel
Opel GT.
Yeah.
So, Eric, I do have a bone to pick with you about the article.
Sure.
How is it possible that the other Rolls Royce wasn't in the 2019 cars?
Because it debuted last year.
Reading comprehension
Got
failed,
it.
Jeff. New cars.
No, I didn't realize it came out in 2019.
You
in
could
2018.
you could make the argument that it didn't actually run until its third race in 2019, but
Yeah. I can't believe we've been talking about that for over a year.
yeah.
Awesome.
They had some problems.
Yes. Is there a favorite that you'd like to talk about? Not like you can't pick your favorite kids, but since you only wrote
Crap,
like
I had one. I actually
half
did have
the
one.
article.
Oh, hold on. Let me look it up. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. That rude
The
guy. He's
thigh
kind of.
master is neither a thigh nor a master.
Uh-huh.
Good point. You know, I liked the Chinook was amazing.
The Chinook was amazing.
The Fairlane at Pitt was fantastic. That was a former rally car. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And that ran all
Oh,
weekend.
Let's see
Did.
what else.
Went
You know
around
what?
and around.
The Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra S was probably the least capable Lemons car I've ever seen.
Which
you
one
have
was
a
this?
small allegiance to them, don't you?
Yeah.
Cutlass.
It was a 2-door Cutlass Sierra with the same engine that was in my wagon, which is one of the worst things GM has ever built.
Is your wagon now a El Camino?
It is. Yes, you've seen it in person.
Oh, absolutely. Tried to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what race was it? And give the team a shout out if you remember their name.
They were at all 3 Midwest races.
Oh, okay.
What else was really good? There was another really good one. I'm glad
it. Okay.
we had a whole bunch of Tercels this year. That was awesome. Like stock Tercels that people did nothing with. That's great.
That was like the last car you could still get a 4-speed manual in. Like
that's right.
Like the bargain basement.
Yes. No air conditioning, radio delete.
The Borg Ward is probably up there.
Yeah, the Borg Ward was excellent.
That was
awesome.
a good find.
Yeah.
Awesome. Chrissy has a couple of questions down the bottom. She's been kind of quiet here.
Well, you're all so deep. I decided let's learn a little bit more about Eric. And I did write these before we even started the show. Do you have any secret hobbies that we don't know about?
Secret hobbies. I love baseball. I don't know if people know that about me. I'm a big baseball guy.
All baseball?
That would be the Cubs there, Jeff, not the Tigers.
Hey now. Let's not confuse me for a Cubs fan. That's insulting.
White Sox
right.
mental.
I'm a White Sox fan.
I think we talked about the White Sox.
I'm sorry. I knew I offended you. I didn't realize how bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's bad news. Let's not do that.
We're wrapping up the podcast, but should the Mets fire Beltran?
I don't care about the Mets.
But you care about people cheating in baseball. Anyway, next topic. Keep going, Chrissy. Don't talk baseball.
And I also like the.
We've already gotten politics. What else can we yell about? Let's yell about sports. Yell about politics. These are my favorite radio shows. This is great.
Yes.
So you're also a local
Rude
history
Limbaugh.
buff? Local history buff or all history? A weird history.
Yeah. Yes. All of the above. So, you can call a timeout here and talk about my girlfriend, which is a really interesting story of how I met her because it was on a Lemons rally.
Let's do this. Oh, that's wonderful.
I love at rallies.
Yeah. It's a good place to meet or test your love.
I get mostly the latter. So, I am recently divorced, which is maybe something people do or do not know. But at the time I was going through all of this, I was also going on the Route 66 rally. So I was riding in all these terrible cars. I didn't have a car of my own, so I was riding in all these cars.
I remember you told us about that.
That was great from a not being there perspective. Like,
right.
As I sat in my warm car and saw the pictures you were posting from the topless Fiesta outside of Tulsa, it was awesome.
Well, funnily enough, that Festiva is how I met my girlfriend, which is great. So
wait. She was a nurse at the hospital who treated your
no
your wind burn and never mind, hypothermia. No, go on.
So the guys in the Festiva picked me up at my hotel in Tulsa and went to the first checkpoint. And like the first checkpoint is the Route 66 marker that's kind of in a neighborhood. So we turn the corner into this neighborhood, and I see this woman walking her dogs with this horribly confused look on her face because, like, we're like the 14th car, as Mental pointed out. We're like, we're at that critical mass of car number that she has seen go by. So she walks her dogs up the hill to where this thing is and starts talking, asking what the hell's going on. It turns out she works for the Route 66 Commission. So I was like, I should contact you professionally because she was hella cute. So I contacted her and talked about a bunch of professional stuff, actually. And then, I don't know, just started talking about things beyond that. Started dating her a year ago this Saturday. So
very good. Congratulations.
Wow.
So
that's a fun story.
It is. We have to work on our retelling of it because it's actually way weirder, just because Lemon's Rally's involved. But you all know what that is. So
right.
It's like usually there's like 10 minutes of like backstory. Well, I was in a fest. No, hold on. Let me back up.
I was with these Amish guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Obadiah and Jedediah. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, Eric Rood, but Chris and Chrissy also met on the rally.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Now we know. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, it brings
And
weird
then
people together. It's cool.
My wife met these clowns after a almost 6-month deployment. I was home for 2 weeks. We jumped in a Chevy Lumina APV and did a rally. Nice. And she stayed married to me after that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've been in a long distance relationship for the last year because she still lives in Tulsa, where she runs the Tulsa Foundation for Architecture. So I've been learning about history and buildings and architecture.
Nice.
So really getting into that. And she's a city planner by trade. So also I'm learning about city planning and how things should be and so on and so forth, and how messed up our country really is and things of that nature.
She probably listens to my favorite podcast, 99% Invisible.
She doesn't, but she probably
all
should.
about design. They talk about city planning all the time.
Yeah. It's really interesting once you get into it.
It is tremendously.
I don't know how Jeff gets anything done based on all the podcasts that he
I
claims to
have a
listen
lot
to.
of cars.
Do you listen to them on double speed like Bill does?
Yeah, right?
No, I don't. I do listen to them on natural speed because part of it is listening to the voices.
Well,
So.
it's hard to listen to us because when we talk too fast, then it's hard to keep up. Okay, this was good. Next, what do you do in your free time?
Well, like I said, long distance relationship, mostly trucking back and forth to Tulsa or hosting Amanda here. But this past weekend we went and drove all around the south side of Chicago, which I had never seen. Holy crap, what an amazing place. South side. Architecture is great. There's a big park built on steelworks slag, which is amazing. Like the land is slag that fell into Lake Michigan.
Oh, I've been
it's
there.
now a park.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, place is cool.
Oh.
My
So
aunt
I travel.
my wife's aunt lives in Chicago, and we visit all the time.
Yeah.
Oh. Lastly, what is your favorite drink?
It's a good question.
It's good for bribe fodder here.
I like a good porter or a good stout, dark beer.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Malt,
We-
smoky. Yep.
We're putting that in the notes.
Yep.
Bring Eric when we show up with the crazy engine swapped 300Z.
Oh, no.
There
The
is
key to that is we always get him with coffee because no one else in the no one else. I don't know how it works, but like McDaniel and none of those guys drink coffee. Eric was always like the only guy that drinks coffee every time I've gone to.
I do drink coffee. That's probably in the top 3 of drinks is coffee.
Yeah.
Black.
I'm with
black
you.
Coffee.
Black Blood of Life is what it's called.
That's right. Damn straight. Oh, there goes the E.
That's okay. All right.
Oh, God, sorry.
Wrong button.
The police are here. Last questions for Eric around the table. Anybody have anything left to say other than thank you?
Eric, you got to pimp all your social media, buddy.
Yep. You can follow 24 Hours of Lemons and the Lemons Rally. Each have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. 24 Hours of Lemons is at 24 Hours of Lemons. Lemons Rally is at Lemons Rally. No spaces in either of those or underscores. We have a Twitter account, allegedly. I don't do very much with it these days. We have a YouTube.
Tweets?
Yeah, right. And we have a YouTube channel that is going to be much more active this year. So 24 Hours of Lemons.
That'll be great.
We love the Lemons wrap-ups. We talk about them all the time. We need rally wrap-ups. We need more
It's on my
Lemons
to-do list, yeah.
Yeah, we need all
And also,
that.
what are some good hashtags that folks could follow as well, especially if they want to specifically follow this upcoming event?
Well, let me check my big notepad full of hashtags that I paste into stuff.
Do you have one of those?
I do. Yeah,
That's amazing.
Because you may not know this, folks. You can follow hashtags on Instagram.
it's true.
do you look at them
Hashtag
up
24
before
Hours
you-
of Lemons. Hashtag Lemons World. Hashtag Race Car is always a good one. Gets you more than lemons. Hashtag Lemons Rally.
What's the hashtag for
Concourse.
retreat for Moscow?
It's hashtag retreat from Moscow.
Moscow. Yeah.
Ta-da.
Should have figured that one out.
Or hashtag Winter Rally. Either one.
Oh,
There
I'm
you go.
I'm looking at the post of the lovely 924 there that you posted earlier.
Yeah, that
All
was
the
in
hashtags.
Kentucky. That bridge was awesome.
Nice.
It's in
Awesome.
Yeah.
Eric, you are again fantastic fodder. I said the hell are we talking to Rood again? We did cover everything, and all of a sudden we're talking about the democratization of technology and safety.
And we could have kept going on that for a good, solid other show.
Hours.
Seriously, totally.
We could have made this as long as the Garage Heroes and Trading podcast.
Wow.
But we didn't, because we've reached the end, and it is just the tip time. I don't know why I'm pounding on my desk.
It's an organ. He's pounding in his organ.
Knock.
Right? Yeah, rod knock. Okay. So we're going to talk today engine hoist safety. I know.
I just got one.
Right? This is exactly why it's relevant, because we lugged one home from Chris's mom's house, and then we already have one. It's a duplicate, so we said we best give this to Jeff because he is going to pull the motor in the Z eventually, or not.
I'm ready to hear about it.
Okay, here's some safety tips. If you started as unassembled, make sure that you assemble it the right way. Make sure you're doing it properly. Tighten all the bolts. Replace the cotter pins. Don't mess with that kind of stuff because it's going to pick up something heavy and it needs to be sturdy.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, come on. Wait, it's already, yours is mostly put together.
Oh.
Clear your workspace.
Not doing that either.
Okay. Here's what you should do.
Okay.
Don't be Jeff, people.
Don't be Jeff. Okay, good. Clear your workspace. Figure out where you're going to need it. It doesn't do well rolling over stuff, because especially when the engine's attached, because it's really heavy, and it's usually one of those things where you try to drag it and it gets stuck on every little rock. Never leave your engine on the hoist. So make sure you actually lower it carefully onto a dolly or some kind of blocks. Make sure the connections you have to the engine are solid and sufficient. Don't just try to hook up anywhere because you can't really figure out where the best parts are to do. Take the time to do something. Bolt something, weld something, hook it to something. Don't just be like, well, this one should be good enough, and then pick it up, and then you lose a whole side of the engine and the hoist. That's just going to make a mess.
I have an engine stand. I'll be putting it right on the engine stand.
Well, but this is taking it out of the engine bay.
Oh,
like
okay.
when you are trying to do it, sometimes they have a nice little hook and you can hook it to that. But sometimes they really don't have anywhere good to do it. So just actually think about this before you're ready to pull the engine. Figure out if you need a level. Some of the engines we've pulled have needed a level, and it's a little easier when you have it, especially when you're trying to put the engine back in. So a level is helpful sometimes. I don't know that all engines need it, but sometimes
I have never pulled an engine that we did not need to alter the trajectory of the engine, like a submarine trying to emerge from underneath the sea. I've never been able to flat pull an engine.
Well, you never flat pull, but it's easier if you have one of those little cranky things that angles it instead of just like
load
loosening
leveler.
it. Load leveler.
Instead of just level.
I know, instead of loosening it and just
said.
I know, that's what I'm saying. What Chrissy's saying is get that thing instead of just moving the hook like another link down.
What's
or
that
link
thing
there.
called, Jeff?
I'm joking.
The little thing goes like
These are jokes.
Okay.
But I'm saying what we did, if you don't have the little cranky thing, is you just pick it up from a different chain link between the.
Or you go to Harbor Freight and get one.
Love Harbor Freight.
Right, so you get one there, and it's pretty cheap but very sturdy. So that's probably a good thing to do. Yes. It's helpful to have one. Okay, so last. What? Yes. Watch how fast you release the hydraulic piece of the hoist. I think you should have one person just do that if possible, because if you're trying to steady the engine and do all these things, move it around, and try to undo the little notch, it's too much to do for one person. So I think the person that's undoing that part on the hydraulic piece should be their whole attention, because it's really easy to just kind of go up, go down. Yes.
You definitely need two people to pull an engine. You need one person to say, stand back, I'm going to give it another crank. And you need the other person to dial 911.
I think you need the other person to undo the last things that weren't undone before they break.
Especially when they're like all the way in the bottom.
Right, because otherwise you're just testing the tensile strength of that one heater hose or that one plug on the wiring harness. Right.
Eric does nothing.
The whole car's coming off the jack stands. Wait.
Eric doesn't know any of this because he just has GMA bodies, and we know they just never blow the motor, right?
Sometime I will tell you the story of my first Lemons car. Sometime. when there's time.
Not a GMA body, right?
There's a Ford Escort.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a 2-beer story by the sounds of it.
That's awesome. Okay, this very last thing. Even if the hoist is stored way back in the garage and you don't feel like putting it together, and you need two people to actually get it down from the shelf that it's already on, you should probably just do that. If you're going to plan on pulling the engine, get the hoist out, put it together correctly, take the time to do it, because it still sucks when you're trying to lift it with you and your friend, especially when you do it over and over again. You say, okay, let's lift this engine, put it back in the engine bay, and let's do this again. So get your engine hoist out. Your friends will thank you, and it's a lot easier and safer. Yes.
Unless it's a single cam small Honda D series, and then you and your wife can pull it in and out of the car a few times. As long as you take all the manifolds off.
Literally what I'm talking about.
Only if your wife is extremely diesel and extremely nice.
Mhm.
Because my wife would barely come out to bleed the brakes with me or push the Z into the trailer.
Or push
it
the Z off of you after it had rolled
exactly.
over you.
That's a 2-beer story.
Can I sneak in here with an Easter egg at the outro?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are no major technical rules changes for 2020. There is a small rule change about to be announced on Friday, and I will tell you what it is.
Oh! Wait,
Breaking
is
news.
this an exclusive?
Yeah.
Wait! I have to get my microphone. All right.
I hope
It's already in the rule book on the website, yeah.
An E1R exclusive.
he just said it was on the website already.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been announced, but it's on the website. So if you go to the rules page and you look at Rule 5.4b,
Ooh.
just added today,
Oh, I know that one.
you will see that first-time Lemons racers earn 2 national championship points now for your teams.
Ah.
So find new people to drive your race cars, get extra points. There you
That's
go.
a little terrifying.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
it's a
we want,
self-selecting problem, I think.
yeah. Then they end up on their own team later on. Not your
The
problem.
only people who care about points
My problem.
are
Exactly.
are
Us.
like the kind of people who don't bring new
Tetanus,
people.
tetanus,
Yeah,
ginger.
us, tetanus.
Amanda.
There's plenty of them. There are plenty of them.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. If
Yeah.
you're a
You heard it here
new
first,
racer out
everybody.
there,
So Spank might actually contend for points if he can just get his teams all
That's
signed
exactly
up.
it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
We're going to call it the
sauce.
Spank Rule.
I like that. I thought the spank rule was for congressmen in bathrooms in the airport.
Very Craig.
Eric, thanks for joining us.
PBA.
Yeah, Eric,
Thanks,
you've
man.
been awesome. Thank you for coming.
As
and
always.
thank you for downloading us as always. We hope you enjoyed this Eric Rood edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, especially if you're new, because you're worth twice as many points. So, everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It is totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram or the Twitter space at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless, like us, there is no shiny side, then just keep the A-body wheels down.